Friendly Fire Show for the last time in 2021. Before I introduce myself, Ben, you said you'd go along with the surprise, so I need you to close your eyes until you hear me speak next.
Okay.
I'm Steve Wright from Stevivor. You can open your eyes now, Ben.
Whoa.
And
Now that is cool.
And joining me is my bestest friend and yours, Ben Salter, also from Stevivor. This is remarkably easy to see through, but I actually can't hear a thing. So, Master Chief, out.
Okay.
I thought that would be funny.
So while you're trying to get your headphones back, I'll just explain what was going on there in case, like, all of our listeners who listen to this are via podcast and didn't see that. So you just open the podcast with your full-on Master Chief helmet on, which you have because you're a next level fan. But they look cool. Like, do you just wear that around the house?
No, and it is definitely me. Twitch chat. Hello, my friend and yours, Hamish. It's cool. It's really cool. I got sent that from Microsoft. I thought I would wear it once. And I'm not going to make weird jokes about like having it requested in the bedroom or something because my husband would kill me if I ever dared set foot in our bedroom with a Master Chief helmet. It's really cool. It's extremely see-through, but it's pretty like fiberglassy and warm, and I didn't work out how to get the headphones in, so I thought that would be fun.
Well, it looks cool. I suppose you could like take it to PAX and wear it for 2 minutes and then take it off because it's just boiling hot inside there. But
I reckon I'd get rolled for it.
Time.
I'd get rolled for it.
Probably.
Someone would steal it, and I would be Master Chief helmetless. So I'm gonna keep it. It is pretty neat.
But yeah, because we've been playing Halo Infinite.
Yes, and I've talked about it heaps. So why don't you tell us how far in it are you? First of all, Ben.
Well, we're talking campaign because we've talked multiplayer before. So campaign, which has now come out, I'm probably halfway through. So not to reveal how the sausage is made, but you had a preview build, then I had a preview build, and when we realized that our save would get reset, I played through like half, and now the real game's out, and I've kind of just played through the same half. So I collectively played the whole game.
But you knew where everything was, so it'll be a pleasant experience. First time around.
But the first time I kind of just skipped all the side missions, and this time I'm taking my time and I'm doing a lot of them. So it's that if you haven't played it, the big change this time is that it's kind of open world. It's open-ish in the sense that the previous Halo games have been pretty linear. They've kind of it's basically level based, whereas this one is a bit more open. There are certainly main missions, but there are also a bunch of side missions. Some of them are a bit Ubisoft-y in the sense that you just have like loads of icons on the map. Nowhere near as much. Don't let me put you off with that because it doesn't have the map bloat of you just don't know where to go. There's a clear yellow is your main story, or you can go to the various other colors and do some side stuff if you want. It seems like you can ignore it as well, but I don't know how much of it you did. I'm pushing through quite a lot of that stuff at the moment.
I have 100% complete save file. I've finished the game on heroic, and I've started because I was gonna wait for you to do it co-op, but like I honestly think by the time May rolls around, I'm probably gonna have to play it a separate time ahead of when we play it together, especially if we try on like legendary with all skulls on. So I'm doing legendary. I need like 3 more achievements in the game, which, if you know me, isn't surprising really. If you haven't, sorry.
No, well, there are a lot of achievements. It's surprisingly hard, so good work doing it on heroic because generally Halo's been relatively easy in that you can just kind of run past something that's too hard, but not really the case here. Sometimes you can, but sometimes it kind of gives you the there's enemies around, you have to actually deal with them, and especially when it's that outpost style where you have to clear it out. I'm only playing on normal, and even then I've been having some level of challenge with some of them, so yeah, I think it'll be quite tough on legendary.
You get better with practice. Hi as well, Jay, who's now in the chat. There's a couple like kill closet rooms where you have to kill everything before you can like hack a terminal, but then, like there are a lot of sections where you can just like grapple up really high and then just like chain grapples to kind of just like clear a room and people don't get you. The lasso play through with all skulls turned on is hard because you know like your checkpoints are gone and you have no HUD, so you can't really see which weapon you have or anything. It's like you're just it's kind of like a weird like mirror's edge thing. Like it's like, oh, am I slashing an invisible energy sword right now, or am I shooting a rocket that I can't see until it hits the ground? It's weird. Anyway, we're not talking about achievements in in Halo. If you haven't listened to the 20-minute little podcast addendum from last week where I spoke with Steve, Dick, and Paul Crocker, you definitely should go back and check it out. It's in podcast or in video form. Paul Crocker used to be at would have been Rocksteady. Yeah, that sounded wrong, but Rocksteady, Batman Arkham games. He was on City, and I think City did a really good job of like not Ubisofting an open world, of like doing things that felt like a Batman thing to do. And I feel like the open world things in Infinite are very much like the Chief has to be involved. It's not like to send a Marine or two. Like it has to be something that he would do. Maybe not the propaganda towers, but they feed into Valor to unlock Scorpions and stuff. So I think that's really cool. I still really like it. I've played it a whole bunch of times. I've gone back into multiplayer, and I know we're not talking about multiplayer a lot, but they opened up a whole bunch of new playlists today, so you can go into SWAT or in Fiesta or Free for All. Enjoyable, but what I've found is that it's killing the ping thing. So Australians sometimes will just jump in and get like a 25 ping game. Excellent. Sometimes you get match made super quickly, but you have like 250 ping. And I feel like because now the playlists are being split into different ones, the ping is more noticeably bad more often, just because there's more ways to match make. So you're not going to get the perfect connection straight away, if that makes sense. So that's kind of worrisome. We did ask Microsoft for comments, and they haven't given us one, so I don't know what to say about that.
Definitely recommend. I forget how to do it. It would be great if I had a fact to give you, but I would definitely recommend putting on that network checker where it kind of tells you what your ping is in the top right corner. Very small, so it's not distracting at all, but it's always there. And just to let yourself know if it's you being terrible or if there's potentially a network issue, which is why you keep getting destroyed. So when this comes up in other games, COD and Battlefield, it is annoying, but I feel like I can still get through. But Halo, it seems to really affect you a lot more. Maybe it's because of the shields and the melee being such a big deal that if you just have that latency there, it can end you. So yeah, we've talked about that last time though. It's an issue. It'd be great if Microsoft would explain why this keeps happening, mainly to Australians, it seems. But otherwise, yeah, I think multiplayer's in a great spot. And good that they're still working on it. Like, it's a slow burn. It's not an annual franchise, so it's hopefully something that's going to have some life and survive the next few years and keep getting better. And yeah, campaign's really strong.
Yeah.
It is a shame that the co-op's not there, because the whole level design feels like it's made for co-op. Like, it's fine solo, but I can just see like how it is that very much like that Outpost style design for a lot of it, and it would feel so good with someone going from a different angle. Like, you could get through it so much easier. And I think that's probably why the difficulty is as it is. If you had 2 or even 4 people, you probably make all the difference, especially on Legendary. That said, some of the level design is very Halo 1, Halo 2, even Halo 3. Like, it's flashbacks to that era. So as we talked about previously, they've managed to capture that essence of what Halo used to be, but apply it in a more modern setting, and it kind of feels like a modern game as well. So I think they've nailed that across the campaign, as they have with multiplayer.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I think is missing, because I've went through the campaign, so I guess it's technically like 3 times at this point. It's kind of missing, and like the House of, I'm like spoiler free. I'm giving you mission names. House of Reckoning is probably like the coolest mission. It's a little bit kind of like Firefight in a way, and I won't even explain why if you haven't gotten there and you haven't been. But like, there's not a mission that kind of just goes, ooh, and like for good or bad. Like if I'm thinking like good missions, there's a whole bunch, but like if I'm thinking missions like Halo Combat Evolved Library, I don't like that level, but it's memorable because it's like frustrating. Like, there's not any of that good or bad. It's kind of just like well designed Halo, which isn't bad per se, but it's just like, I wish there was like a little teeny bit more, I think.
I think that's the flip side of doing that openish world, pick your mission. It means that they don't have control over the pacing. So it doesn't have that. That's why some of the missions hit so well in previous Halo games. It's where they were in the game as much as what the mission was. So they lose that. And that's what they give up to do a game like this. And, well, I can't really comment because I haven't got to the end yet, but I could feel already coming along that potentially it's not going to have that iconic mission because of how it structured itself. But it still has the iconic music. And half of Halo's like most epic moments are just that soundtrack coming in and the main theme hitting at exactly the right time. And I feel like they at least have got that right because you get those tingles when you hear that Halo theme come in.
Absolutely. It's super good. If you haven't played it and you have Game Pass, you're silly. You should, because obviously you have nothing to lose.
Hmm.
So make sure you do that. Anything else you want to talk about Halo-wise before we keep going?
No, I mean, certainly up there for me as game of the year. I think it hasn't had that much competition really. Like we've talked about so many potential contenders, but none of them really felt like they were a definite winner. And Halo just feels a little bit ahead of all of them to me. So I'd probably have it as my top game, but I haven't finished it yet. Maybe it falls off a cliff and I'll hate it. But at the moment, very strong contender.
Yes. Even though I guess by our standards, Stevivor Game of the Year, it would have to be Game of the Year for 2022. But we'll get into our Game of the Year at the end. Ben, I'm going to keep you talking because you have played a little bit of Big Ants Cricket 22. So why don't you tell us if it's as buggy as previous iterations?
It is extraordinarily buggy, and that is why I would suggest probably waiting a little longer. And this is the thing. So this is their fourth or fifth cricket game now. It's been almost 10 years, and they always launch super buggy, and they leave it up to their 99.95 paying customers to do the testing, basically report all the bugs, and eventually a year later they've ironed out most of them. So I do think it's better than the last cricket game. They've improved the general gameplay a lot. The ball movement, dismissals, just the general presentation is what they've focused on this time. I think there are improvements there. They've added some story into your career, so it's less text-based, although it's a bit dodgy. And there's more real licensing. So the old way used to be I don't know how they got away with it, but you used to be able to just click like get community teams and it would replace Jay Smorth with Steve Smith. And like now they're actually licensed in all game modes, as far as I can tell. So that's the main difference here. That said, if you just want to have a little hit and you don't care that much, get Cricket 19. It's like $20. It's in Game Pass as well. Pretty similar. It's not a drastic step. I think 22, when it's finished in about a year, will be an improvement, but it's not a drastic step up. The issue is, as always, there are just so many bugs. It will crash randomly. Based on previous games, I'm going to say there's going to be a point in the career mode where it just crashes or something doesn't work, and the only way to fix it is to restart your career mode. So as always, do not start a real career mode yet because something will go wrong. And there's weird things there, like your player stats are assigned wrong. Like I only bat because I can't be bothered bowling, but my batting stats are under bowling. Like it doesn't make any sense. In one of the cutscenes, which are voice acted by your coach, a text came up just saying placeholder text here. It's like how did they not realize that that's not in there yet? Stuff like that. And like the fielding doesn't kind of feel right. So it's not finished. They've had Big Ant always has a big problem with Xbox. So PlayStation has had several patches. I'm playing on Xbox and I haven't had any yet. They tweeted today that they've tried to submit 2 patches and they both failed Microsoft certification. So they're not good enough. There's obviously still issues with them, and Xbox has rejected them in much the same way that PlayStation rejected Cyberpunk for being too buggy, but also after it had come out. So if Xbox were going to follow Sony's lead, they should probably delete this game, but it's not that bad. But it is a bit strange that I haven't heard of another developer always having a problem with Microsoft, and you know what Big Ant's like on Twitter. They're very aggressive and they're very, Microsoft, don't help us. There's always issues. But I haven't heard of anyone else having these issues that they constantly have with them. So Xbox, not the best place to play. Probably better off playing on PlayStation. If you want to play it right now, I would suggest, unless you want to play the Ashes, which is starting tomorrow, or they've already started actually, the second test is starting tomorrow, and you want to play the official series license right now, play 19 and maybe wait 12 months or so when they've ironed it out, fixed all the glitches, and it will probably be a pretty good game and about $30 next December.
Yeah, that's like the Big Ant recommendation. Like it comes out, you're like, ooh, it's gonna be an interesting little while. So yeah, like, and if you do have Game Pass, just like we said about Infinite, it's not gonna hurt you to give 19 a try and to see if it's like kind of up your alley. And if you really like it and you burn through it, then maybe you can.
And you're happy 22. To do some testing, basically. If you want to do the testing and you want to report those glitches, go for it.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Ben, I don't know if you've watched it. It's out now. The thing I'm talking about is called Power On: The Story of Xbox. I had a screener a couple weeks ago of the first of the 6 parts that are now available in their entirety on a number of different platforms. Probably YouTube's the easiest place to see it. Pretty good, actually. I've watched 3 parts of the 6-part documentary. The first part kind of starts off like Microsoft funded this, or at least funded it in part. Like it starts off like a little too like rah Microsoft for me, and then kind of sheds that and gets into actual people, like, you know, some Microsoft employees still and some former ones, like just talking about how the actual Xbox came to be and the hurdles that they encountered. The first episode was like a lot of just like old white dudes, and I'm like, and that's kind of like, I guess, what technology was 20 years ago. But they're slowly introducing more voices, which I just kind of like. It's an interesting little documentary, probably like 45-minute episodes, so what, like 4 hours total. Have you watched any of it yet?
I've watched the first 2 episodes. Very interesting, and I've the second episode at least does get a little scathing on what Xbox were trying to do, and I've heard it gets even deeper into that when they get to the Xbox One. They don't shy away from the mistakes that they made, which is super rare, but also is what makes it interesting. Like, no doubt, PlayStation and Nintendo both had similar missteps. In fact, we know that they did, but they kind of hide them and they pretend they never happened, and they never want to show it. Microsoft, being such a giant company, has a luxury of being able to, and now that they're successful in the gaming space, be able to say, this is what we did, this is what we did wrong. I've heard that Valentine's Day massacre story by Bill Gates before, when he went in and just abused everyone on Valentine's Day, and they had to cancel their plans, which is why it was called the massacre. All the wives got left home alone. And then at the end of it, you know, kind of saying that you guys are ruining Microsoft, you've undone all my good work. And then by the end of the meeting, he said, actually, we're going to do it. And that was all because they didn't want to put the real version of Windows, or they said they can't. When we pitched it to Bill, we said we're going to put Windows on it. He said approved. And then they realized they couldn't, and they didn't tell him until just before. And they said, by the way, Bill, it's not real Windows. That made him very angry. And this is basically what this documentary is. They go back over these stories, and it's quite interesting. So even if you're not an Xbox person, I would say well worth watching, just for an insight into the gaming industry. And I think a few episodes ago, when we talked about, sometimes it's more interesting just to talk about it and to read about it and to hear about it, how this stuff works, as opposed to even playing a game. Sometimes you can't bother playing, but it's interesting to hear about how it all comes together. So if that's you, super interesting and super worth watching. And I'm looking forward to the other 4 parts. And I would love to see something similar on a bunch of other companies, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even if you're not a super, like, so I made Matt watch episode 2, and he was pretty engaged. Like, he's like, I'm not watching the rest, you can just watch them without me. But if you're interested in like even just business, it's almost amazing. Like, there was this core team of you know, DirectX people who were basically driving the Xbox, but then, you know, like, they only have the software and the coding experience, so they had to bring in, you know, like, the hardware guy who, like, he makes mice, he doesn't make gaming peripherals. And like, it's just kind of cool to see how some of these people in Microsoft had to, I'm using such a stupid buzzword for the pandemic, but like, pivot and be agile to do something else. And like, some people kind of were drawn into the fold nicely, and some people like were just kind of told, like, you're working on Xbox now, deal with it. So it's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest. I'm really keen to, I don't think I've actually watched the 3rd episode. I've watched a part of the 3rd episode. Really keen for like the Red Ring of Death stuff with the 360. Really curious to see how they're going to treat the Xbox One, if Matrick gets pulled in to say anything, or if they're just going to talk about Don Matrick and the TV thing. And I really hope they do something with like cloud gaming. And it's probably a little too early to reveal like the secret sauce behind, you know, like how cloud came to be at Microsoft. But I hope at least later on we get something similar for cloud, because that's like, and I hope Kinect gets its day. I think it should be more episodes the way it's going. Like, they're still on Xbox where I'm watching, and it's like, well, you know, that was, anyway, it's cool. Give it a go. It's free. It's on YouTube. Head to the site if you want it linked. Anything else you've been playing, Ben, before we get going?
Nothing news that I can think of.
All right. Well, I had my Christmas party during the Game Awards, so I didn't watch it. I only watched the trailers afterward, which I think is kind of the best way to do it, to be honest. So I don't have a
Yeah.
lot of news items that I've pulled unless you want to talk about others. But if I don't talk about Alan Wake 2 first, I would be stupid. So after years and years and years, 10 years, almost 11, since the release of the original Alan Wake on Xbox 360 and subsequent little mini sequels and DLC within Control, we finally have Alan Wake 2 confirmed. It's going to be a third-person survival horror game, so not an action horror game. And the original cast members who comprise Alan himself, so Matthew Peretta and what's his name? A Finnish guy, damn it, who is the face of Alan Wake, will be the face of Alan Wake, and Matthew Peretti, who was Dr. Casper Darling in Control, will be his voice, and I'm over the moon. Ben, are you as excited as I am?
You're telling me it's not Jake Gyllenhaal, as I heard on the internet. Interesting.
No.
Yes, I am excited. I need to play Alan Wake Remastered at some point.
You do?
Well, I'll get around to it. I've got a big backlog at the moment, so maybe that's one of my many January games. But yes, I'm a big Alan Wake 1 fan, but I played it 10 years ago, so I haven't gone back to it since then. But yeah, it makes sense to go that more survival horror route. I kind of think that's what they always wanted to do. It's pretty much what they said, right? They kind of said this is more where we wanted to take it. I think they used the example of we didn't really want to make a teen game. We wanted to make a mature game, which in Australia is probably the difference between an M and an MA. They obviously use the American ratings. And that's where they're going. So, yeah, sounds good.
It's yeah. I think people were a little bit concerned because like we barely have anything. It's coming out in 2023. It's PC and current gen only, so no cross gen Xbox One or PS4, which I'm all for. It's in their Northlight engine. Looks like the not gameplay, the kind of in engine, but like probably more cutscene-y, like pans through the environments look great. But I think people saw those and thought it was first person because they didn't see, like, as the camera's moving, they didn't see like Alan and right ahead of the focal point. So it's like, oh, it's going to be first person like Resident Evil 7 because it's survival horror. I'm like, no. So Sam Lake's come out and corrected all that kind of stuff. No one is as excited about Alan Wake as I am. It's absolutely true. I honestly cannot wait. I'm so excited to see what happens. I feel like if this wasn't announced in the last couple of weeks or in the next couple of months, it obviously has. I would have murdered people at Remedy because they've been making this giant Alan Wake. Well, like it's not a real death threat. But like they've been pushing Alan Wake so hard, like it couldn't have just been a coincidence. And then like when they put Alan Wake will return in the credits, and you're like, you mean new Alan Wake? And they're like, oh, not sure. It's like, stop toying with me. Just let's get this done. So it's like so nice after like a tease on the TV and like Quantum Break and a remastered re-release and like sort of Easter eggs in Control before like full-blown DLC. It's just like it's really nice to have it like a there's like a weight off my shoulders. Now I just have a wait till 2023. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So good job, Remedy. Please smash it out of the park. Can't wait. Were you a fan of the Shadow of Middle Earth Shadow of franchise?
Do you know, I have to admit I've never played them. I've maybe dabbled for a couple of minutes, but I never really got into them. I hear they're excellent.
Have you heard? Well, I think the biggest claim to fame is the Nemesis System. Are you familiar with the Nemesis System?
No.
Oh God. Okay. It is a proprietary thing that Monolith, the developer of Middle-earth: Shadow of War or Mordor, created for their Lord of the Rings tie-in games. And it's kind of similar to things that you've seen in like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, to be honest, where like you just have like, here are these commanders of this cult that you need to kill. But apparently in the Nemesis system, it's a little bit different, where like if you don't quite kill someone, they'll get stronger, and they'll like, if they come and try to kill you the next time, they'll like reminisce about the last time they tried to take your life. Or if you do kill someone, like all the plebs move higher up the chain and like know your legend and your glory. Like it's a pretty like convoluted system for just like a hit list basically. But anyway, the game that we're starting to talk about is Wonder Woman by Monolith using the Nemesis system. I'm imagining it's going to be extremely similar to the Shadow of Lord of the Rings games, in which you'll be Diana and have a sword and your lasso and like take people out. We didn't see much, but are you kind of keen to play a Wonder Woman game?
Well, now I am. Now that there's been this like series of very successful superhero-based games, I'd play almost anything because we talked about this a few years ago, and like they're finding the right developer for the right franchise. So it's not a one person trying to make all these games. It's Insomniac made a great Spider-Man game. Um, Rocksteady made a great Batman game. Like they're finding the right developer for the right game, and I feel like maybe that's what they've done here. But having not played the middle of the games, I'm not entirely sure of that. But it seems like maybe it is a good fit yet again. So that's what we need for these type of games: is the right developer for the right series.
Yeah, and like the track record of Monolith in these kind of fantasy settings, like not open world like GTA skyscraper laden environments. Like this is well suited to a Wonder Woman game where like she could just be kind of like running through Themyscira, or just like like in the past, because she's out of time compared to like a human, where she's just using a sword and a horse and a shield and like just kind of Wonder Womaning it up. Like it seems like a really good fit. I hope they modernize it a little bit. Like I hope it's not just because like Shadow of War and Mordor, you're just kind of like out in rocky, cliffy areas, like out in the countryside. Like
Very
I think,
brown game.
yeah. So I think there's a little bit of room in terms of setting and visuals and stuff. But I think like I can't imagine the core being any different. So, and that core is a solid core. Like I don't think I found a lot of enjoyment in it because like I just don't care about the Lord of the Rings and like you kill one orc, you kill 500 orcs. But if it's Wonder Woman, I'm like a little bit instantly more connected just as it is. So I'm down for that. That looks like it's a ways out. So we'll just have to keep our eye on it. These are all just the games that I liked the most out of the Game Awards. So like if you want to talk about another one, Ben, by all means. But my final one that I want to talk about is by a bunch of former Telltale Games developers who have formed a new studio, and they are making a Star Trek tie-in called Star Trek Resurgence. It is set in the Next Generation era after the films. So kind of like Voyager, or not even Voyager, like Deep Space Nine, black and gray outfits, or the TNG movie outfits. It's on a Centaur class vessel where you play as the first officer and an engineer, and it'll be very Telltale like in like kind of like a narrative experience with some probably like not that difficult kind of action stuff. We don't know a lot about it, but it comes out in the next 6 months or so. So I'm just really keen for it. It's been a while since we've had a Star Trek game. I like a good narrative experience, Telltale thing. So I can't imagine you're as excited as I am about any of these games, Ben. But would you give it a go?
No, probably not. There's only so many Telltale games I can play. I think I played my last year already. But having said that, is it a new studio or is it an existing studio who's hired Telltale developers?
It's a new studio. It's called like Delirious Labs. Sorry, I'm going to be clicking around because I didn't do my research because we're not a fact-based
Well,
show.
that's all right. They've done an excellent job to get a license that big so quickly then.
Yeah, with CBS Viacom. They're called Dramatic Labs. It's a new studio made of Telltale devs, old Telltale devs. And Telltale, like the new Telltale, who is some old Telltale devs and new hires, they're making an Expanse game, which is based off that series of sci-fi novels and the Amazon Prime Video sci-fi series. So if you like Telltale-style games and sci-fi, the Game Awards was like a good go for you this year. Was there anything?
I didn't watch.
Go ahead.
I didn't watch the Game Awards. So I checked Twitter basically for a rundown, and I think you're right. I don't need to watch a 3-hour award. I can just see like the 7-minute actual highlights. And if you hadn't, I would have remembered Alan Wake 2, and I didn't even register. Like nothing looked a skimmer of these awards. Nothing really stood out to me besides though. But again, it should be an awards show. It shouldn't really be an announcement show. So I don't want it to have too many big things. that's how they make their money, but yeah, it's not what it's for.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was nice just to kind of go through the trailers. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. There was like Hellblade, Senua Saga gameplay, a whole bunch of other games. Tunic got a release date. Like there was a whole bunch of stuff, but like that's like it's December and I'm tired. I don't want more stuff. I want less stuff. Speaking of less stuff that I don't want to have, but I guess more stuff that's being offered, do you have a keen interest in non-fungible tokens, Ben?
Well, I used to only like fungible tokens, but apparently the non-fungibles what it's all about now, and Ubisoft is continuing to go down an odd path. Maybe we're just told, like maybe they're going down the right path, and this is exactly what they should be doing. I can't even explain it because I don't understand it. So, tell me, what is Ubisoft doing?
Okay, well here's my attempt. So, Ubisoft is launching something called Ubisoft Quartz, which is a non-fungible token NFT repository allocation system. So an NFT in this case is going to be in-game items, in this particular case for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, where they're very unique. There's only so many made, and your ownership of them is tied in the blockchain. And Ubisoft is saying that this blockchain is energy efficient and not as bad, even though, like, I think any blockchain is not really energy efficient just by definition. So you'll only be able to use these items like a helmet or something in Breakpoint, but you have control over it. So you can sell it to someone else if they're interested in this thing. And I guess you can sell it for real world money. This is where like the fact-based stuff goes out the window. I'm not entirely certain, but like you can sell it, but I guess like it's not clear to me how much like Ubisoft gets in terms of like a cut and all that kind of stuff. And like if they turn off the servers for Breakpoint, like I guess your ownership is still in the blockchain, but like you can't use it anymore.
It's useless. It's worthless. So they're finding a way basically to monetize the monetizing of microtransactions and make things artificially scarce so that you can then sell them on some type of second-hand market. I don't really get why you do any of that, but if you're into it, go for it. Interestingly, I've done it with a game which was notably a flop at launch, at least by Ubisoft standards for it. So,
did you see what you needed to do to get one of the items? You had to play 600 hours of Ghost Recon Breakpoint to be eligible to claim.
Nobody has played 600 hours of Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
If you have, then more power to you. You definitely should get that weird helmet. And like, if not, these energy efficient blockchains, like people theoretically will just now turn on their computer, load Breakpoint, and just sit in the world for hours and hours and hours to hit so like how is that energy efficient? It's not. Like old man will yell at cloud and be like, I don't understand NFTs, but like that's basically me at this point. I don't understand the appeal. I just don't understand. So good for that.
Yeah.
If you somehow have a good use case for NFTs, please tell us. I would love to hear it. Anything else from the Game Awards or for like news in general that you wanted to talk about? I think it's kind of like that weird thing where there's a whole bunch but it's
no
good.
It's been like no announcements, nothing happening. I did get that Xbox 20th anniversary controller on a whim purchase when it was quickly available, then not available on Amazon. Looks cool. Yeah, that's it.
It's transparent,
that's all
right?
A
little bit transparent, translucent.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, it's that like early 2000s. Remember when all plastic had to be kind of translucent?
Yes.
It's that style and like classic Xbox green, a little bit. So yeah, looks cool. Don't really use it though because I just use my Elite Series 2, but I like to have it.
Microsoft sent out that helmet and they sent everybody else an Elite controller, like the Master Chief fancy Elite Series 2 controller. They sent me a keyboard, which admittedly, I said I wouldn't type, but it's worth listening. Mechanical keyboardy clicky, but yeah, in a weird.
I don't think we heard that, but anyhow.
Oh, I thought it seems very loud.
Mouse.
And then this is like my what is it? Wrist rest. So, but I didn't buy that. You bought that, so more power to you. I just got free
That's
things.
That's good for you because now that you're a PC master race, that's what you need, a fancy keyboard and a mouse.
Would rather have fancy controllers, but that's just me. We're gonna finish off, Ben, this year talking about our Game of the Year awards, and if you're listening right now or watching our live Twitch TV.Stevivor live stream, you're gonna get a sneak peek into 2 awards that round out the week. But I thought we could just quickly talk about them, Ben. So we started off on Monday with our best sports or racing game. We gave that to Forza Horizon 5. Would you like to say nice things about Forza Horizon 5? Or do you think that it was something else was robbed?
No, it's the obvious choice. It would have been great if we had a sound effect there, like a little cheer or something, but I don't know how to do that.
I can add it in post. That's beyond me right now.
This is live. Anyway. Yay! But yes, very good. Great game. I think, yeah, that's it. I think Forza Horizon 5 kind of came and went to a degree because, one, it's a slow burn game, so you play it for years, unlike a lot of Game of the Year contenders. But 2, it's so Forza Horizon 3 and 4 did such a great job that 5 doesn't feel like the big current gen stretch that it really is. Like it is a step up. It looks amazing. It plays amazing. It runs so well. And I think they've kind of got a better flow of different missions and activities to do. That said, as they keep adding more, it gets more bloated, and I think that it gets a little bit worse over time because it just gets too much. It's kind of good as it is now if they added only a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's a small victim, very low level victim of its own success because we've already kind of been here and done that, and so it probably hasn't quite got the recognition it deserves. But it's an excellent game, as we always say, on Game Pass. No harm in trying it out.
Yeah, I've said it a million times. I really like it, but I've been playing Halo obsessively to get things done, and just because I'm enjoying playing Halo. And it's that weird thing of like you jump back in, and it's that Ubisoft bloat of like there's just so many things on the map I don't know what to do. So I'm kind of looking forward to a DLC. Like in Forza Horizon 4, they had like the Lego one, and there was the Hot Wheels one, and there's like Blizzard Mountain. And I kind of like going to a new map in Forza after a while because I don't have to worry about like the 7 million icons on the main map. I can just go to like a little island, and it's like a lot more manageable. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'll probably try to get back into Horizon and mop it up over the Christmas break, but there's just a lot. Much like we were talking about Halo Infinite being potentially our Game of the Year, or at least a contender in 2022, just because we go by the Game Awards cutoff dates for simplicity in our own voting. We awarded the best RPG of this year to a game that was technically released in December last year, that being Cyberpunk 2077. Jay reviewed it on PC last year and didn't have a lot of problems. I played it and got all the 1,000 gamer score on Xbox not long after. Like there were some bugs and it was pretty noticeable, but a year on in, a lot of those have been rectified apparently. I still think the narrative is great, the game itself is great, and if you can kind of turn a blind eye to some weird hiccups now and then, it's really good. Have you played it? I can't remember, to be honest.
I played about 3 hours, and then I decided to shelve it because I would play the current gen version, because it was meant to be out in the second half of this year. Since been delayed, but I've waited this long, may as well keep waiting. So yeah. I'm just going to wait for that real version to come out on console.
Play Alan Wake instead. Remastered, of course. I'll play the old one if you want. We today, as at the time of recording, Wednesday's award for best action or action adventure went to Bethesda's Arcane's Deathloop, which I think is well deserving. The maps are big and sprawling, but not too big and sprawling. There's a whole bunch of things to go and explore. There's a lot of puzzles to piece together. The combat is pretty rewarding and fun. There's a lot to kind of do, and there's different ways to do it. So it's well worth a play. And I guess, you know, if you're patient or have too much on your backlog, give it a couple more months, and you can probably get it on Game Pass and play it for free, like half the other games we talked about today.
Absolutely. I think definitely makes the top 5 game of the year, if not top 3. So amazing game. Just the way that they take things that you know how to do. Like, it is a lot of it's first-person shootery, but it's certainly not a first-person shooter. A lot of it's kind of like puzzly, figure out your own path to your objective. It's just, yeah, it comes together really nicely. So certainly worth playing. And even though Bethesda's now a Microsoft company, that classic thing of Bethesda games just losing their value immediately has happened again. It was like $30 or something like that like 6 months after it came out. For some reason, Bethesda's big hits are always like $20 a year after they come out. It just always happens. They just do not hold value at all, and it's happened yet again. So,
Is it because they're
like you could
single
get like something
player?
like Rage 2 or Prey. No, because they go so cheap. I remember Prey being like $10 like 9 months after it came out. Like, and it's just every Bethesda game this happens to. So something about them, they do not have any value at all long term, which is great if you hold off playing them. You can always get it cheap. So 6 months from now, you better when it comes out on Xbox, you better buy it on PlayStation for like $15. I guarantee that.
Wow, there you go. Win-win. So the two sneak peeks, by the time this podcast comes out or the video, we'll have already announced our, what was it? Best multiplayer game, which we've awarded this year to It Takes Two, which is Hazelight and an EA original, or an EA, is that the name of their indie program? EA original? Something like that. Anyway, It Takes Two.
Yes,
The
yes.
Game Awards Game of the Year, which I think probably not deserving, if I'm being
Surprising.
frankly honest, but still really enjoyable. I think it went a little too long, and I think it's really hard sometimes to you literally have to have a second person to play. You can't have like an AI take over and play a bit. Like, you need two people to commit time. But the multiplayer, very enjoyable, especially when you're like playing those little mini games, or you're trying to like beat your opponent when you're not trying to cooperate to succeed. So it's really fun. You've been playing it with Claire, correct? Or tried to, maybe?
No, I dabbled a little bit, but for that exact reason of you need the second player, and I need to play through with one person the whole way, I just haven't really got it. So, yeah. Now
Well,
I probably will go back to it because it won the Game Award, Game of the Year. So I
Matt's
should try and
given
play
up
it.
entirely. So if you want a co-op person, and we can't play Halo Infinite together, obviously, I will be your co-op partner, Ben. Just say the word, and I
Okay,
am there.
we
I
could
am
do it.
there.
I have to start at the beginning again. So long.
I don't know why I keep if you're watching the Twitch stream, I keep throwing up like the Game of the Year category on Stevivor.com, which these two that I'm talking about now aren't even on that page yet because they're in the future. But the last one that we're gonna do this week is for the best ongoing game, and we gave that to Dead by Daylight. In my opinion, extremely deserving. I know you don't play it, Ben. But you really should get into it. And the best part is, like, it's on Game Pass as well, so you could jump in for free. You don't have to worry about like all the extra different characters and stuff. Today, Behavior Interactive announced that the next huge chapter update is going to be the Ring, or technically Ringu, like the books, the Japanese books, not the movies, but like same idea, like 7 days. You get it. Creepy black haired girl crawling out of a TV. Super fun asymmetrical horror game. Uh, Sometimes kind of toxic players, and other times like the most helpful, friendly people that you'll ever meet, like just trying to get you through like the basics of the game. It's not really a co-op game, Ben, but if you wanted someone to play with, I would definitely try to make that happen with you, so you can kind of experience how it works. It's super fun. I really, really, really like Dead by Daylight. They've had some really good content drops this year. They've fixed a lot of graphical issues. Behavior is a Canadian team, so there's like a little soft spot in my heart for them. Like playing as the Nemesis, and as Claire and Leon and Chris and Jill. That's the other one. Super fun. I just really, really good game. I know Luke really likes it a lot, and I think him and I have been its biggest advocates on Stevivor staff. But you should definitely give it a go if you haven't, because it's really, really, really fun. Best ongoing game.
Too many things to play. Too many things to play.
True, but
Better than what?
better than like a Destiny. Destiny, I tried playing again.
Ooh.
Just too many things going on. It's super confronting. Like, I just don't know where to start, and like too scared to jump in. I should really try to figure that out, and I will over Christmas. But Dead by Daylight's just all reliable. 5 generators. Get the gens done, get to the exit, or be horribly mutilated by a killer. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's perfect. That's it. Our Game of the Year awards will go for basically the rest of this month. They finished on the 30th of December, so we'll have a whole bunch of categories. Yeah, ride us out to the end of the year, and then we'll take a teeny break, and we'll see you in 2022. I guess this is the last episode of this, so you and I will take a break from
Yeah.
this.
We'll take a break. This is is our Game of the Year podcast, but we can't even discuss our Game of the Year because you just said it hasn't been announced yet, so we don't know what it is.
Well, the game of the year is
Classic friendly
beyond
fire show.
us. The game of the year is beyond us, Ben. There's a multitude of
Of
writers
course.
who got to vote. So if you want to talk about your game of the year, I'm all ears. Your personal Ben Salter
No, I
game of the
prefer the
year.
collective one.
Yeah, no.
Well, I already told you it's Halo probably, but that's been rejected due to some admin errors by the Game Awards, which we've had to adopt as well. So in that case, it's Metroid Dread. I think it was the one that actually everyone forgets, and I would say it's my second game of the year, is Hitman 3. Because everyone forgets that game came out this year because it came out in January, which is normally just some dud offshoot games that come out then, or some like innovative, unsure by the publisher games, and they kind of try to launch them in that period. But it's great. It's way better than the other two, and they were both great too. It just kind of perfects the formula. So
Yeah.
a forgotten game, but certainly a well-deserving one. And then Deathloop would round out number 3 from that batch. Honorable mentions to Psychonauts 2, very good, and Forza Horizon 5.
Psychonauts 2 is probably my game of the year, if I'm being completely honest. It was like just a bad time of the year and like a lot of lockdowns, and just like a really optimistic and hopeful and thinking about like all these issues that we kind of shove under the rug. Topical and important and like just super fun. And like I tried playing the original Psychonauts and just kind of like but
Unplayable.
like loved it, loved it. So kind of made me sad that it didn't pick up any awards. Like even the likes of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart didn't pick up any game awards really, and they're two really good games. So like that's probably another one, a contender that needs to be noted, Ratchet and Clank. So
Well, yeah, Psychonauts way better than Ratchet Clank, but they're both very good.
neat in terms of an idea of what we can start seeing more of, and like not game of the year by any stretch, but if you have a current gen console and want to download the Matrix Awakens, I think it's called, the Unreal Engine 5 demo experience thing, it's crazy confronting because I started it up and I think it is actually a video at the very very start of Keanu Reeves, but then like it transitions into a digital representation of Keanu Reeves, and like you don't know which is which. It's like 25 gig or something. It's sort of like an interactive thing. There's like some gameplay, but sometimes it's just like you watching digital interpretations of Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves, and it's just like, ooh, like this is epic, showing, and I think the Coalition helped showing what Unreal Engine 5 can do, and it's like photoreal crazy. And like it's not truly a game, so I'm sure there's like cycles and stuff that like a game would need to take back from the engine to be able to, you know, I don't know, enemy AI or whatever, however video games work. But like it's just check it out if you have like a spare half an hour. Just check it out. It's crazy exciting in terms of what video games can potentially be in a couple years, like what they can look like. It's like we're gonna be in the Matrix basically.
All those games I just talked about, one is from a handheld from 2017, and the others are all cross-gen games. Like, so none of those are current-gen games at all, and it's the state of things now. So we would expect the first 6 to 12 months of a console to be cross-gen just to make more money, but that's no doubt being extended by the fact that you can't buy one of these consoles, or certainly not easily. So we probably haven't really, like, we've seen games run way better, but we haven't seen them look way better yet, and I think that's because of that reason. So the only game that felt truly current gen to me this year was Flight Sim on Xbox, because it, one, wasn't cross gen, and two, shouldn't really be possible because to my brain, a game like that should only be like high-end PC. And it ran so well on the Series X that it was just kind of like, not that I'm really into just sitting there playing Flight Sim for hours. Like, it's fun to fly around your hometown and to see somewhere you've been, but it was more just fun to see a game like that running on a console. Like, I didn't think that would be possible. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of that in the next few years when we start to get stuff which is specifically made for this current generation. Even something like Halo Infinite was meant to come out last year. It was clearly in development for Xbox One, and it still runs okay by all reports at Xbox One. So very much cross-gen game, as are all those others. So looking forward to seeing some more stuff, and hopefully this Matrix demo, which is more or less an ad for the upcoming movie, is a sign of things to come.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Ben, while we wait though, how can we find you on the internet?
I am Ben_Salter on Twitter, and yourself.
Wright AU on social media, or you can go to Stevivor.com and check out all the stuff we do. It's been an interesting 2021, and I'm kind of scared to say that I feel like we're gonna maybe enter 2022 in the same way we entered 2021, and I hope it's not that case. I hope, like, I do get to go to Canada very soon. I hope things get better and not worse. So thanks for being here, Ben. Thanks for being here to listen and watch everybody else. It's been, at least when, we're all stuck at home, we decide to start live streaming and stuff, and with our millions and thousands of live viewers, it's been fun. It's been really fun. Have a very wonderful holiday season, celebrating and enjoying the time however you choose to do it, and we'll see you back here in about a month or so. We'll let you know.
We're not committing to a time frame because that's just not how we really roll. But about a month or so, we'll be back when the games start coming back. So we've made it to 192 episodes. That's very exciting. We're going to be back with 193. We're going to have to plan some type of spectacular 200 celebration, because this show has been going on in multiple formats for like 7 years, 8 years, 7 years, a long time.
Crazy,
so
right?
There'll be a 200 spectacular of some degree. We always try to get a third and or fourth person on, and normally fail, so we'll plan ahead and we'll get someone.
Well, if I do it live on Twitch, there's no way I can get 2 extra people to guest and then forget to record it or anything resembling keeping it for posterity.
Yes, you're right, we should be at episode 194, but we're not, so never mind.
Yeah, well, that's my fault. And obviously we will have more people. December is the worst month for a lot of people, so we were trying to line up guests. I think we could do it now quite comfortably. I think I'm fine being able to have a third person on, but like, just in terms of timing, we just went for easy, comfortable pile. But we there are plans 2022 to have a whole bunch more people, so you'll get more perspectives than just Ben and I. But not that I'm saying that your perspective is bad, Ben. I love you very much, and I'm glad to hear from you every single fortnight. We're rambling. We'll see you next year. Have a good one.